The funeral moved slowly under a heavy gray sky, and the air felt cold and still. People stood close together, but their hearts felt far apart and their eyes stayed low. Soft prayers drifted across the cemetery, and the sound of them made the silence feel even deeper. At the front, a young woman named Anna stood near the fresh grave, and she held a small baby against her chest. Her arms looked tired, but she did not loosen her grip because the baby was the only steady thing she had left. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and her cheeks were damp as if the tears refused to stop. She tried to breathe calmly, but every breath felt sharp like it carried a weight. The baby shifted in her arms and made a small sound, then pressed his face into her scarf as if he could sense the sadness around him. Anna was only 22, and she looked younger than her age because grief had drained the color from her face. Her husband Mark had been kind and steady, and he had been her safe place, and now he was gone. His death had come fast and unfair, and it left her with questions that had no answers. 1 week ago, Mark had kissed her forehead before leaving for work, and he had promised to return early to hold the baby and make dinner together. He never came back, and a stranger's phone call had split her life into a before and an after. In the days that followed, Anna moved like a shadow through the house, touching his jacket on the chair and staring at his mug in the sink. She kept thinking she heard his footsteps in the hallway, then she remembered the truth and her knees went weak again. She had cried until her eyes hurt, but the pain inside her stayed the same. Around her, people offered polite words and quick hugs, but most of them did not stay long. Some were neighbors who had known Mark only a little, and they looked unsure of what to say. Some were co-workers who spoke about him in a respectful voice, then stepped back as if they were afraid of getting too close to the sadness. A few older women tried to help by adjusting Anna's scarf and rocking the baby for a moment, but even their kindness could not fill the empty space beside her. Anna kept nodding and whispering thank you because that was what people expected, even when her throat felt tight. She did not want to fall apart in front of strangers, yet she also could not hide the truth written on her face. At the edge of the crowd stood a young man named Leo, dressed in a dark suit that looked expensive but not flashy. He did not stand near the family and he did not speak to anyone, and that was why nobody paid attention to him. Leo was known in the city, but he kept his face calm and his posture quiet, and today he wanted to remain unnoticed. He was one of the youngest billionaires people talked about, and his name appeared in business stories, but he did not come here for fame. He came because Mark had once helped him when Leo was at his lowest. Leo had not forgotten that help, even though years had passed and his life had changed. Leo watched Anna from a distance and something in his chest tightened. He had seen sadness before, but this was different because it carried fear and loneliness. Anna's tears were not dramatic and loud, they were silent and heavy, like a river moving under ice. She kept wiping her face quickly, then looking down at the baby as if she needed to remind herself she had to stay strong. Leo noticed small details that others ignored, like her worn shoes, and the thin coat that was not warm enough for the weather. He noticed how she stood alone even though people surrounded her, and he noticed how nobody asked what she needed next. Leo had learned that crowds often disappear the moment real help is required, and he had promised himself long ago that he would not be that kind of person. As the prayer ended, the group began to shift and step away from the grave. Some people left quietly, some spoke in low voices, and some checked their phones as if they needed an excuse to leave. A man from the cemetery staff waited patiently nearby, ready to guide the next steps, but he did not rush anyone. Anna stayed still and stared at the ground where Mark rested, and her lips trembled as if she wanted to speak to him one more time. The baby stirred again and let out a small cry, and Anna pressed him closer and rocked him gently. She whispered soft words and kissed his forehead, and her voice sounded thin like it might break. Then she took a slow breath and tried to calm herself again. Leo took one step forward, then stopped, because he did not want to disturb her. He waited until more people had moved away and the space around Anna became quieter. He could have left like the others, and nobody would question it, but his feet refused to turn. He remembered a rainy night years ago when he was younger and broke and carrying a bag of cheap clothes. He had been turned away from a small store because he looked tired and poor, and he had stood outside in the rain with nowhere to go. Mark had noticed him and asked if he was all right, and Leo had lied and said he was fine. Mark had not believed the lie, and he had bought Leo a warm meal and given him a ride to a safe place. Mark had asked nothing in return, and he had treated Leo like a human being, and that simple kindness had stayed in Leo's mind like a light. Now Leo stepped closer and spoke softly so his voice would not sound sharp. He said he was sorry for her loss, and his words were simple and honest. Anna looked up with tired eyes, and her face showed surprise because she did not recognize him. She nodded and thanked him politely, as if she had repeated those words 100 times already. Leo looked at the baby and then at Anna again, and he said Mark was a good man. Anna's eyes filled with fresh tears, and she swallowed hard, then said yes, he was good, and she sounded like she meant it with her whole life. She tried to smile for a second, then the smile fell away because it could not survive the pain. For a moment there was only the sound of wind moving through the trees. Anna looked down and adjusted the baby's blanket, and her hands shook again. Leo could see she was trying to hold herself together by focusing on small tasks. He respected her effort, but he also knew that strength did not mean doing everything alone. Anna whispered, almost like she was talking to herself, that she did not know how she would do this now. She said she did not know how she would raise the baby by herself, and her voice cracked as the words came out. She admitted she was scared of the future, scared of bills, scared of nights when the baby cried and there was nobody to share the weight. She tried to wipe her tears again, but the tears kept returning because her heart was overwhelmed. Leo felt helpless for a second because money could solve many problems, but it could not bring Mark back. Still, Leo understood that the future could crush a person if they faced it alone, and he refused to let Anna drown in that fear. He spoke gently and told her she was not as alone as she thought. Anna looked at him with confusion because she did not know why a stranger would say that. Leo did not explain everything right away because this was not the time for big speeches, and he also knew trust had to be earned. He simply asked if she had someone to take her home, and Anna hesitated, then shook her head. She said she came with a neighbor, but the neighbor had already left because of work. She said she could walk, even though her face showed she was exhausted. Leo offered to help, not with grand promises, but with one small step at a time. He asked if she would let him drive her home, and he kept his tone calm and respectful. Anna looked around as if she expected someone else to appear, then she looked at the grave again. Her shoulders dropped, and she nodded slowly because she had no energy left to fight the day alone. Leo stayed a careful distance as they walked, giving her space while still being near enough to support her if she stumbled. Anna held the baby close and took slow steps across the damp ground, and each step felt like she was leaving a part of her behind. Before they reached the car, Anna turned her head back toward the grave one last time. Her eyes shimmered and her lips moved silently as if she was saying goodbye in her own way. Leo watched her and felt a promise form inside him, a quiet decision that was solid and real. He knew that Mark's kindness had once saved him from falling, and now he had a chance to pass that kindness forward. As they drove away under the gray sky, Anna stared out the window with tears on her cheeks, and the baby slept peacefully in her arms. Leo kept his eyes on the road and his hands steady on the wheel, and he did not know exactly how the story would unfold, but he knew he would not walk away from her pain. Anna sat quietly in the car as the city moved past the window, and her thoughts felt heavier than her body. The baby slept against her chest, and his small breaths were the only calm sound in her world. Leo drove slowly and carefully because he did not want to rush this moment. Neither of them spoke at first because grief often fills the space where words should be. Anna watched familiar streets pass by and felt strange returning to a life that no longer felt real. Her home waited ahead, but it did not feel like a place of rest anymore. When they reached her building, Anna hesitated before opening the door. She thanked Leo again, and her voice sounded tired and unsure. Leo asked if she was safe inside and if she needed help carrying anything. Anna shook her head and said she would manage, even though her arms ached. Leo nodded and respected her choice, but he did not leave right away. He gave her a small card with his name and number and told her she could call any time. Anna looked at the card as if it was something fragile and important, then she nodded slowly and stepped out of the car. Inside the apartment, the air felt quiet and heavy. Anna placed the baby in his crib and watched him sleep. She moved through the rooms like a stranger and noticed how everything reminded her of Mark. His shoes were by the door and his jacket still hung on the hook. The table still had the mark where he spilled tea one morning and laughed about it. Anna sat on the couch and covered her face with her hands. The tears returned, stronger this time, because she no longer had to hide them. That night felt long and endless. The baby woke up crying and Anna held him close while pacing the room. She whispered soft words and tried to calm him while calming herself. She thought about money and rent and food and all the things Mark used to handle with quiet confidence. Fear crept into her thoughts and stayed there. She wondered how long she could survive like this without breaking. She thought about Leo and his kind eyes and felt confused about why a stranger would care. The next morning arrived with pale light through the window. Anna felt exhausted, but the baby needed her and that gave her strength. She fed him and changed his clothes and kissed his tiny hands. She made a simple breakfast for herself, but she could not finish it. A knock came at the door and her heart jumped with surprise. She was not expecting anyone, and fear rushed in for a moment. She opened the door slowly and saw Leo standing there with a calm expression. Leo greeted her politely and asked if this was a bad time. Anna shook her head and stepped aside to let him in. He carried 2 small bags and placed them gently on the table. He explained that he brought some groceries and baby supplies. Anna felt her chest tighten and her eyes fill with tears again. She tried to refuse at first, saying she could not accept such help. Leo listened patiently and then spoke softly. He said he was not offering charity, but kindness, and he reminded her of the way Mark helped him without asking questions. Anna sat down slowly and listened. Leo did not speak about his wealth or his success. He spoke about being alone once and about how one kind act changed his path. Anna looked at the baby and then back at Leo. She realized that refusing help would not honor Mark's memory. She nodded and whispered thank you again. Leo smiled gently and said she did not need to thank him so many times. Over the next few days, Leo returned often, but never unannounced. Sometimes he brought food and sometimes he brought nothing but conversation. He helped fix a leaking sink and carried heavy bags without complaint. He listened when Anna spoke about Mark and he never rushed her tears. Anna slowly began to breathe easier around him. She noticed how he treated the baby with care and respect. He held him gently and spoke in a calm voice that made the baby smile. Anna learned more about Leo as time passed. She discovered he had lost his parents at a young age and built his life through hard work and long nights. She saw the tiredness behind his confidence and understood he carried his own pain. Leo never tried to take Mark's place and never crossed a line. He simply stayed present and steady. That presence became something Anna relied on without realizing it. One afternoon, Anna admitted her biggest fear. She said she was afraid of failing as a mother. She said she worried the baby would feel the absence of his father. Leo listened carefully and then spoke with honesty. He said love leaves traces and that Mark's love would live through her actions and stories. He said children feel safety before they understand words. Anna held the baby closer and let Leo's words settle in her heart. As weeks passed, Anna grew stronger, even though the sadness never fully left. She began taking small walks with the baby and letting sunlight touch her face. She cooked simple meals again and cleaned the apartment little by little. Leo supported her without controlling her life. He encouraged her independence and reminded her of her strength. Anna began to see herself differently, not just as a grieving wife, but as a capable mother. One evening, Anna received a letter from the landlord about unpaid rent. Panic returned and her hands shook as she read it. She called Leo with a trembling voice and told him she did not know what to do. Leo listened calmly and asked her to breathe. He said they would solve this together. He did not offer money right away, but guidance. He helped her apply for support programs and connect with helpful services. Anna felt empowered instead of rescued. That night, after Leo left, Anna sat beside the crib and watched her baby sleep. She thought about how different her life felt from the day of the funeral. The pain was still there, but it was no longer the only thing she felt. Hope had found a quiet place in her heart. She realized that Leo was not just helping her survive, but helping her believe again. Outside, the city lights glowed softly. Inside, a young mother found balance between grief and strength. Leo walked home that night feeling something shift inside him as well. He understood that helping Anna was not just repaying a debt to Mark, but answering a deeper call. He knew their lives were now connected in a way that could not be undone. Neither of them knew what the future would bring, but both felt it would be meaningful. Anna woke before sunrise as the baby stirred softly in his crib and the room was filled with quiet shadows. She rose slowly and held him close and felt a calm she had not known for weeks. The sadness was still there, but it no longer controlled every breath. She had learned how to move with the pain instead of fighting it. The baby smiled at her, and that small smile gave her courage for the day ahead. Life began to settle into a new rhythm. Anna created small routines that helped her feel steady. She walked with the baby every morning and greeted the same faces on the street. She learned which shops were kind and which neighbors were willing to help without asking too many questions. Each step outside felt like a victory over fear. She reminded herself that Mark would want her to keep going. That thought gave her strength when her legs felt weak. Leo continued to be part of her days, but always in a respectful way. He never arrived unannounced and never made decisions for her. He helped when she asked and stepped back when she needed space. Anna noticed how different this felt from the world she knew before. People often helped only when it made them feel important, but Leo helped quietly. He listened more than he spoke, and that made Anna trust him. One afternoon, Anna invited Leo to stay for tea. It was the first time she asked him to stay longer than needed. They sat at the small table while the baby slept nearby. Anna spoke about Mark in a calm voice for the first time. She shared stories about his humor and his patience and the way he dreamed of a simple future. Leo listened carefully and did not interrupt. He understood that remembering was part of healing. As Anna spoke, she realized something important. Talking about Mark no longer felt like reopening a wound. It felt like honoring a life. She felt proud instead of broken. Leo noticed the change in her eyes and felt relief. He knew she was growing stronger, even if she did not fully see it yet. Later that week, Leo encouraged Anna to think about her own dreams. At first, she laughed softly and said she had none left. Leo did not argue. He simply asked what she loved before fear took over. Anna thought for a long moment. She remembered how she once enjoyed sewing and making small clothes by hand. She remembered the joy of creating something useful and warm. The memory made her smile for the first time in days. With Leo's encouragement, Anna began sewing again. She used old fabric and worked while the baby slept. At first, her hands felt stiff, but soon the familiar motion returned. She made tiny clothes and blankets and felt proud of her work. Leo suggested she share her creations with others. Anna hesitated, afraid of failure. Leo reminded her that trying was already a success. Slowly, Anna gained confidence. Weeks turned into months and the baby grew stronger. His laughter filled the apartment and brought light into every corner. Anna learned how to manage her days and how to ask for help without feeling weak. She realized that strength did not mean doing everything alone. It meant knowing when to lean on others. Leo watched this transformation quietly and felt grateful to witness it. One evening, Anna noticed Leo seemed distracted. She asked if something was wrong. Leo hesitated, then admitted he was facing pressure at work. He spoke about expectations and loneliness at the top. Anna listened and realized that Leo carried his own burdens. She offered him the same calm support he had given her. In that moment, their connection deepened. They were no longer just helper and helped. They were two people learning from each other. Anna began to see Leo not as a rich man or a savior, but as a human being. She noticed his tired smiles and thoughtful silences. She appreciated his honesty and patience. Leo, in turn, admired Anna's resilience and warmth. He saw how she faced each day with courage and grace. Their bond grew naturally, without pressure or promises. One afternoon, Anna received a message from a local market interested in selling her handmade baby items. Her hands shook as she read it. She could hardly believe it. She showed the message to Leo with a smile full of disbelief. Leo congratulated her and encouraged her to take the opportunity. Anna felt a spark of hope she had not felt since before the accident. As Anna prepared for this new step, she felt nervous but excited. She worked late nights sewing and planning while the baby slept nearby. Leo supported her by helping with logistics and encouragement. He never took control. He let Anna lead. This respect strengthened her confidence even more. On the day Anna delivered her first batch of items, she felt proud and scared at the same time. She returned home exhausted but smiling. She held her baby and whispered that they were going to be okay. Leo visited later that evening and saw the joy on her face. He realized this was a turning point. That night, Anna sat alone after Leo left and reflected on her journey. She thought about the funeral and the fear that once consumed her. She saw how far she had come. She knew grief would always be part of her story, but it no longer defined her future. She felt ready to face what came next. Leo walked home under the quiet sky and felt something settle in his heart. Helping Anna had changed him too. He understood that true wealth was found in connection and purpose. He felt grateful for the chance to grow alongside her. Neither of them spoke about the future, but both felt it held possibility. As the city slept, two lives continued to heal and grow. The pain of loss slowly transformed into strength and hope. The path ahead was still unknown, but it no longer felt frightening. It felt real and full of meaning. Anna stood near the window one early morning and watched sunlight touch the buildings outside. The baby slept peacefully and his breathing sounded calm and strong. She felt a quiet confidence inside her that once felt impossible. Life was still difficult, but it no longer felt dark and endless. She had learned how to stand again without fear taking control. Her small sewing work continued to grow slowly and steadily. The local market sold her items and people began to recognize her care and effort. Each message of appreciation felt like proof that she was moving forward. Anna saved money carefully and planned each step with patience. She no longer felt trapped by the future. She felt capable of shaping it. Leo remained close but never overwhelming. He respected Anna's space and celebrated her success without claiming it. He admired how she made decisions with clarity and strength. Anna noticed how Leo smiled more these days and how his shoulders seemed lighter. Helping her had given him peace too. One afternoon, Leo invited Anna and the baby to a quiet park. They walked slowly along the path and watched children play. Anna felt a mix of sadness and warmth because she imagined Mark smiling at the scene. She did not push the feeling away. She accepted it as part of love. Leo walked beside her and sensed the emotion without words. Anna spoke softly about the past and about how she feared forgetting Mark. Leo listened and replied gently that memories do not disappear when life moves forward. He said love grows and changes shape but never leaves. Anna felt comforted by his words and nodded quietly. She realized she was no longer afraid of healing. As time passed, people began to notice Leo and Anna together more often. Some whispered and some asked questions. Anna felt unsure at first, but Leo reassured her. He reminded her that they owed explanations to no one. What mattered was respect and honesty. Anna appreciated his calm approach. One evening, Anna invited Leo to stay for dinner. She cooked a simple meal and felt proud of the effort. The baby sat nearby and watched them with curious eyes. They talked about ordinary things and laughed softly. The apartment felt warm and alive. Anna realized it was the first time the space felt like a home again. After dinner, Anna shared something important. She told Leo she was grateful for his support but needed to be honest about her heart. She said she still carried love for Mark and always would. Leo listened without interrupting and nodded with understanding. He told her he respected that completely. He said love does not erase other love. It grows beside it. That conversation brought clarity instead of tension. They both felt relief. Their bond became deeper and more genuine. It was built on trust and patience rather than expectation. They agreed to let life unfold naturally without pressure. Months later, Anna received an invitation to expand her sewing work with a larger store. The opportunity felt overwhelming but exciting. She doubted herself again for a moment. Leo encouraged her to believe in her progress. He reminded her of how far she had come since the funeral. Anna accepted the opportunity and felt proud of her courage. The baby grew stronger and happier with each passing day. His laughter filled the apartment and softened old pain. Anna watched him learn new things and felt grateful. She told him stories about his father with warmth instead of tears. She wanted him to know love, not loss. One evening, Leo visited after a long day. He looked tired but content. Anna noticed and asked about his day. Leo shared that he was thinking about changing his work focus. He wanted to invest in projects that helped people directly. Anna smiled and told him his heart was guiding him well. Leo realized her strength inspired him too. They sat quietly while the baby slept and listened to the city outside. There was no need for big words. Their connection felt natural and steady. Both understood that whatever came next would be faced together with care. On the anniversary of Mark's passing, Anna visited the cemetery alone. She carried flowers and stood quietly by the grave. She spoke softly and thanked him for the love they shared. She told him she was okay and that the baby was safe. Her tears came gently and then faded. She felt peace. Later that day, Leo met Anna at home. He did not ask questions. He simply sat beside her and held her hand gently. Anna squeezed his hand and felt gratitude. She knew she had honored the past without being trapped by it. As the evening settled, Anna looked around her home and smiled. She saw growth where there was once fear. She saw hope where there was once despair. Leo looked at her and felt admiration. He knew that true strength was quiet and patient. Their story was not about rescue or wealth. It was about kindness meeting courage. It was about grief transforming into purpose. It was about two lives changing each other through respect and compassion. The baby slept peacefully as the night grew quiet. Anna rested with a calm heart. Leo felt content beside her. The future was still unknown, but it no longer felt frightening. It felt open and full of promise.